Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to another one of my video editing tutorials. My name is Ian Middleton. I am a travel and landscape photographer, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Ian Middleton Photography, or my website ianmiddletonphotography.com. Now, in this video I'm going to show you a very simple way to edit your photos using Adobe Photoshop. Now, many people are a bit daunted by Photoshop, but there's really no need to be. I mean, okay, there are a hell of a lot of features and tools in Photoshop that it's absolutely mind-blowing. And to be honest, I hardly use any of them myself. I use a very few basic tools. I use some other tools when I want to do some deeper, more detailed editing, but for the vast majority, I'd say 90% of my photos, I use the same few tools and I do some very basic editing. So you probably find that you don't really need a lot of the things that you think Photoshop can do. And for that reason, once you know these basic tools, it's quite easy to work with Photoshop, but it's also a very powerful piece of software and really makes a huge difference to processing your photographs. Now, the key to good photography, as it always has been, is taking a good photo. And Photoshop really is the digital version of the processing room that you used to use when we shot with film. Basically, when we shot with film, we took it into the lab and we processed and worked on the photo there in the lab. And basically Photoshop is just a digital processing lab. That's how it started out, at least anyway. So the key, as I said, is taking a good photo, getting the photo right in the field, getting it right in camera, and then you basically would just need Photoshop and a few tools in Photoshop to bring out the best of what you have captured. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again: if you're not shooting in RAW, start doing it now. If you're shooting in JPEG, that's the equivalent basically of getting a print and throwing away the negative. The RAW is the digital negative. And if you're not shooting in RAW, you're not keeping your negative. And if you just have the JPEG and you want to do some editing, well, there's very little information in the JPEG. And while you can do some basic editing maybe, you start to destroy the image. So you must always start by shooting in RAW. And in Adobe Photoshop, the RAW file will open in Adobe Camera Raw, the plugin. So that's what you can see here. Okay, now you can use Adobe Camera Raw to do a lot of your editing. I'm not going to cover that here because I've covered that already in another tutorial, so I'll put a link to that up here if you want to check out that tutorial to see what editing you can do in Adobe Camera Raw. But for this tutorial, I want to show you what you can do in Photoshop. Okay, so if you've got the RAW file, of course, the first thing you're going to do is open it in Adobe Camera Raw. Okay, and it will open in all its default settings. Now, if we go down here to the bottom and click this, you just want to make sure your color space is Adobe RGB or sRGB if you want to, but what's more important here is the depth, the color depth. Make sure that you've got it in 16 bits, okay, and make sure that you open it in its default size. You don't change anything like that. Okay, so in that case, just simply open the image. Okay, so up here you can see you've got RGB and 16, so ensure that you've got it as a 16-bit file. Now, first thing you can do here once you've opened it is save as, and I usually save as a TIFF. This is non-destructive and it will save absolutely everything, every bit of data that's there. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is save it as a TIFF. Okay, and now we can start working on our image. Now, up here you've got image, okay, and adjustments and mode. Yeah, here in the mode you can change the color space and you can change the 16-bit to 8-bit. Now when you want to save it, the final image as a JPEG, you'll need to change it to an 8-bit because JPEG cannot save in 16 bits. But for now, let's leave it like this and we'll look at the adjustments panel here. First thing I usually do is go to the levels and look at the levels. Now this scene was exposed to the right. Now again, if you want to learn about processing and exposing to the right, I'll put a link up to another video I've got on that up here. But this image, because it was a bright scene with lots of bright details and not so much contrast, I exposed it to the right, so you can see that the histogram is pushed to the right side and there's not much detail here on the left. This gap here shows you that there is no information in this part of the scene. So in this area, the shadows area, there are no really dark shadows. So as a consequence, of course, the image is very low contrast. It doesn't have any punch really, it's very high key. So first thing I would do with this image is pull my slider over to where the histogram starts. So you can see now it's bringing up the contrast. If that's a little bit too much sometimes, then I usually then pull back my midtones just a touch. Okay, so this left slider adjusts your shadows. This right slider adjusts your highlights. You can, which we don't need to do. And this middle slider adjusts the midtone colors. Now you can think of your shadows as black, your highlights as white, and your midtones as grey. So midtones are basically the neutral colors. Okay, so that's the first thing I do. First thing I would do there is that, click OK, and that's the first part of the editing done. Then I will go up again to my adjustments tool, and you've got all these tools down here. We'll look at them one after another, but the first thing I go to after the levels is to my shadows and highlights tool. Make sure you've got show more options checked, and here you can adjust your shadows and your highlights. Okay, these are the two that I usually look at. Now usually I'm adjusting my highlights. I want to darken down the highlights here to bring out some of the detail. And then so you can use the radius tool to adjust how much of your scene is affected. Okay, the radius means basically when you're darkening pixels, the radius determines how much around that pixel is affected. So this, the number of pixels around the pixel is affected. So when you go like this, you make it much bigger. But you can see here that it's also then darkening the church down here, which I don't want to do. Okay, so I'm going to go to about here. That's good enough. If you want to lift any of the shadows, if you've got shadow areas, then you can do the same here, but this doesn't have much. Oh, it does actually. Let's do that a little bit. Same thing there. Okay. So I can bring some of the detail back on the church there. Okay. There we go. Okay, that. Then the next thing I'm going to look at is vibrance. The vibrance tool, it opens the vibrance and the saturation. Saturation will boost all of the colors across your image. Vibrance will boost some of the colors that are not so vibrant in your image, and the colors that are already vibrant will not be adjusted, so it's actually much better. So this just gives it a little bit of extra punch. Okay, and you've got the exposure tool if you want to make adjustments to your exposure, but I rarely do. This was exposed correctly, so everything's fine. Okay. Hue and saturation, again, if you want to make more adjustments to these, but I never do. Okay. But so the next tool, up here you've got brightness and contrast. Now these tools are very blunt. They will just brighten, darken your image as it says, or bring out the contrast. But actually a better way to boost the contrast is to go to the curves tool. And very simply, on your line down here across your graph, on the bottom left third, pull it down to darken, and then the top right third, pull this up to brighten. And this way you get a much finer control of your contrast. So you can make some areas a bit brighter, some a bit darker. It's much better, and it makes the image much more vibrant. Okay, that is pretty much what I do. These are pretty much the tools that I use in the vast majority of my editing. Okay, now as I said, you can do much more if certain images may require more, but basically for basic simple editing of your photograph, these are all the tools that you need. I'll show you another quick example. Here's another example of a photo again that I've opened, so I'll do that quickly. Again, adjustments, look at the levels. Okay, gonna pull that up to here. Go back again. I'm going to go to my highlights tool. I want to pull back some of the highlights here that are a bit burnt out where the sun was. Okay, so take that up to 2. So you can see how that's really bringing out the detail in the sky. Vibrance, up a touch. Curves, to really, there you go, see how the more I pull that up here, I'm really adding some punch, some contrast to the image here. Now as you see, if you want these to be a bit lighter, I can pull that up a touch. There we go. That's about right. So very simple set of tools and some very basic editing in Photoshop. Now when you're finished and you want to save your photo, that's when you save it in Jpeg. This is essentially what your camera does if you shoot in Jpeg. It captures the RAW, it processes it for you automatically, and then it saves it as a Jpeg and deletes the rest of the raw data. So to save it, first of all, as I said earlier, you need to go to image mode, convert it to 8 bits, and down here you can convert to profile. You can leave it in Adobe RGB if you want, but if you're uploading to the internet, to Facebook or websites or anything like that, it's better to convert it to sRGB, because Adobe RGB on the internet looks very washed out. It's lacking in colors. So I usually convert my JPEG to sRGB. Then save as. Come down here, select JPEG, choose my folder and save. Always save at a maximum 12, never any less. There's no reason to do that. Click OK, and now I've got my JPEG saved. But if I want to go back and do some more editing, this is why I suggest that you save it as a TIFF. So here I've got my JPEG and I've got my TIFF somewhere. Where did I save it? I usually save my TIFFs in a folder here. Okay, so if I ever want to go back and do some more editing, then I go back and I open the TIFF. I do editing on that, and then I save it again as the JPEG. So it's not so scary and not so difficult. Basically, the vast majority of your tools are here in the adjustments area. Okay, so I hope this has been useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications of all my future videos. And thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, and catch you later.